Something starts hurting you in the gym, so what do? You ignore it and train anyway and make it worse, or you completely stop training altogether. Now, both of these are usually massive mistakes. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about my 4-step process to manage injuries around your training so you can continue making gains without having to take time off. And believe me when I tell you, I learned this the hard way. I spent years chasing more and more and just ignoring all of the warning signs. My shoulders would be in bits and I'd be pushing for bench press PRs, knees would be shot and I'd be trying to get the most depth possible out of the leg press. I was wanting more sets, more reps, more intensity, and ultimately I just burnt myself out. I realized actually they weren't injuries. It was just niggling aches and pains because I was asking my body all the time to do more than it could recover from. And that's actually why I created the progression system that I use inside my free 12-week build guide, because the goal is not to smash yourself up every single week. It's to gradually increase the intensity across a training block, and by the end of it, you'll be lifting more and performing better than you were at the start. It's linked in the description below. So if you're watching this video, you've probably picked up an annoying ache or pain, and you're keen to know how you can continue training while that improves. And before we get into the 4-step process, I think that is an important point to make, because this isn't about proving that you aren't injured or taking the pain away completely. It's about managing the pain alongside your training so you can keep progressing while things settle down. So the first place I'd start with this is adjusting your technique. And it's a really good time at the start of your warm-ups, when things are a little bit lighter, to just play around with a few things. So on a bench press, as an example, maybe your arms are a little bit more flared. Maybe you could tuck them in a little bit and see whether that helps. Maybe you could adjust the angle of the bench and see whether actually a flat bench is the thing that's causing issues with your shoulder or whatever, but an incline feels a bit better. For me, I used to find that I got a lot of pain on leg press because at the bottom of my reps, I like to go quite deep and my back was sort of rounding up. So I just played around with some yoga blocks. I put one under my lower back. That stopped the lower back from rounding, and now I can leg press pain-free. The next thing you can try is slowing down your tempo. Now, we know from research that anywhere from a 1-second rep to a 9-second rep is probably going to result in the same muscle growth. So we don't need to worry too much about that. The reason people tend to go quicker with their reps is mainly because really slow reps suck and they really hurt, but they also take a long time as well, and you don't want to be doing a 15 rep set where every rep is 9 seconds long. But if you're injured, sometimes you don't really have a choice. So right now on decline pressing, because my shoulder is just killing me, I am having to count for like a 3-second eccentric, pause at the bottom, and then go back up. And that has, to be fair, allowed me to carry on pressing. I'm getting a decent stimulus in my chest and my shoulder does feel like it's calming down a bit. And the last thing here is to adjust your range of motion. So again, as you're warming up, maybe it's the bottom part of the bench press when you're really stretched that's causing the pain. So miss that part out. Maybe it's the part where you lock out. So miss that part out and just play around with something that feels okay to you so you can get, again, the goal is to get a good stimulus on, in a bench press example, get a good stimulus on your chest, but not anger anything else around it, right? For me, on triceps, I always get some weird, like clicky, painful thing in my elbow when I lock out. So I just don't lock out anymore. So anything that is tricep press downs, I just miss the lockout at the bottom. If it's overhead, I'll miss the lockout at the top. And for me, that feels really comfortable, really productive. And, someone might say, the form police might come along and arrest me for it. But I'm like, well, it means that I can train productively and keep progressing. So what am I going to do? So yeah, sometimes you don't need to change an exercise. You just need to tweak it a little bit. Now, if you try all this stuff and it still doesn't work, you might need to change the exercise or the exercise order. So before we get into this one, it's important to remember that studies are currently showing free weights and machines create the same strength and hypertrophy gains. Your muscles don't know what exercise they're doing. They know mechanical tension created by reps that are in close proximity to failure. So any exercise that you're doing, so long as you are pushing hard, close to failure, you're gonna get similar growth from. So don't be stubborn and stuck to an exercise just because some kid on TikTok has told you that it's gonna be the best thing ever for you. So I've just picked out a few common exercises that cause people pain. The barbell bench press, you could swap that out for any kind of machine related press, or maybe even a dumbbell press. The barbell squat, it is a great exercise for growth. It does feel amazing when you've got loads of weight on your back, but it can cause people problems. So swapping that out for anything else like a pendulum squat, a hack squat, a leg press, these are all perfectly fine alternatives. The bent over barbell row can sometimes cause a little bit of lower back pain, so swapping that out for any kind of chest supported row is fine. And I've added this last one to the list for me because right now, my body seems to hate doing any kind of lateral raise that's behind body or dumbbell lateral raises. So what I've had to do is swap in anything cross body, so like a cross body cable lateral raise or a laying dumbbell lateral raise. Feels absolutely perfectly fine. I get a great stimulus in the side delt, no pain in the shoulder. But yeah, for some reason I can't do anything behind back or dumbbell lateral raises. So I'm just working with those variations now. So yeah, overarching message here is don't become emotionally attached and stubborn with exercises. If they start to hurt or cause pain, just swap them out. And the next thing you could try under exercises is playing around with the rep range. So sometimes going a little bit lighter and higher rep can help. You might even find actually that going lower rep and heavier can help as well. And the last thing here is changing your exercise order so you pre-exhaust the muscle before going into a big heavy compound. So for me, I had knee pain and I had to start doing leg extensions and hamstring curls before I did my leg press so that my knee was nice and warm, but it also meant that I had to reduce the load that I was lifting on the leg press, and that actually just sorted everything out for me. So this is another thing you can try. So step number 3 is recovery sessions. Now I know deloading is like this big buzzword right now, and this is a little bit different to that just because I like to try and keep training for as long as possible without needing to take a full amount of time off because, you know, it's more productive to train that way, right? So if there is just an issue with a particular area, you can look to just deload the exercises that are causing that area pain. And you kind of have 2 ways to do this. So number 1, you can cut the number of sets and reps in half. So 4 sets of 10 at 30 kg becomes 2 sets of 5 at 30 kg. Or number 2, you can cut the working sets and load in half. So 4 sets of 10 at 30 kg becomes 2 sets of 10 at 15 kg. You can do this on multiple muscle groups as needed, but training on your fresh muscle groups should remain exactly the same. But if you're finding that you're having to do this multiple times in a training block, then it could be due to the next thing I'm going to talk about. So if you've tried the other 3 steps and things are still hurting, then it might be a sign that you are just doing too much volume. Each and every person has their own maximum recoverable volume. So the amount of sets that that person can do before they're unable to recover. And that actually varies by muscle group as well. So certain muscle groups can take loads, certain muscle groups can't. For me, chest, I can literally do like 8 sets per week before I start getting shoulder issues, whereas my calves can just take an absolute beating. And I know everyone bangs on about the 10 to 20 sets rule, but there are outliers to that, right? And if you're looking across your training plan and it's like, actually, my shoulder is the thing that seems to keep hurting, then I would just look to reduce some set volume in that area by maybe 1 to 2 sets per week. And if that starts to improve your symptoms, it's a sign that actually your volume requirements for that muscle are just lower than others. And then you just take that as a lesson learned and you build that into future training programs. So for me recently, and it's the reason that my shoulder's messed up, I've been battering side delts 5 times per week. And to be fair, I was able to run with it for maybe 4 to 5 months. And it's recently just all caught up with me and I can't seem to get rid of the shoulder pain, which is really annoying. So I'm reducing that down to 3 times per week now and things are slowly starting to improve. But it was good in a way because I tested my own limits and now I know, do you know what? The shoulder can't really take 5 times per week frequency. So we'll try with 3 for now. And then once that's feeling really good, maybe I might up it to 4 times per week just to get a bit more volume in, but we'll have to see. So the key takeaway here is more's only better if you can recover from it. If you've got some aches and pains right now, then work through these 4 steps and you'll often find you can keep training, keep progressing and avoid turning a small little niggle into a much bigger problem. I've been banging on about my shoulder, so I'd be interested to know in the comments what injury has caused you the most problems in your training. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you are because I'm here to help you build muscle, get leaner and stay progressing for the long term.